your Job Wrestling Hour with your host, the ConKaiserdor and old school Avis Hathaway. Pin me, pay me, do your job. Pin me, pay me, do your job. Pin me, pay me, do your job. Pin me, pay me,
This is the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour on Blog Talk Radio. I'm the ConKaiserdor, and alongside me is old school Avis Hathaway. And tonight we bring our listeners our first guest from the West Coast and one of the fastest rising female stars on the independent scene, Buggy Nova. We've been really looking forward to having her on the show, so thank you all for tuning in, as tonight will be one to remember. Old school Avis Hathaway, Bud, what's going on there tonight?
Oh, not much, man. Having a good night. How about yourself?
You know, it's exciting, but also a little somber, guy.
Somber? Why is it somber?
Well, you know, the Miami Heat got cheated out of a victory
Jesus.
this evening from the Lakers. What? Listen, dude, you know those refs called that game. I mean, come on. Wade hasn't been fouled out in how long? I mean, they were looking to get Wade out of the game. You know it.
Well, maybe they're trying to do a little make-good for Wade being a little bit rough with Kobe Bryant there at the All-Star game. You know, I was actually happy to see that. I can't stand the All-Star game because nobody plays any defense, so a little happy Wade gave him a little bit of what for.
Well, he deserved it, guy. Plus, the All-Star Game's all about fun. I don't think it was in any way intentional, but
I wish it was.
Well, you know, it wasn't, and it was just not a good game. I was really disappointed. I almost turned it off about halfway through because I was like, you know what, this is nonsense. And then when Wade got fouled out, I was just like, you know what, forget this. I still finished watching the game, but I was pretty pissed off the rest of it.
Well, Bosch has been injured, or not injured, but he's been out because of death in the family, so they're missing a little bit of that inside presence. But speaking of inside presence, the Magic are in talks to try to acquire either Monte Ellis or Rajon Rondo in an effort to keep Dwight Howard to stay. So I'm sure you're pretty excited about that, having to deal with a reloaded Magic team so many times a year.
You know, if Dwight Howard was smart, he'd leave the Magic and join a real team like the Heat. I mean, if he's looking to win a championship, staying with the Magic is going to be near impossible.
Well, I'm sure you'd like him because Dwight Howard's better than any player on the Heat. But,
okay.
I'm hoping he stays put. I'm hoping he stays put in Orlando. He doesn't do like some other people where they leave and chase the glory. I'm hoping we can land either Ellis or Rondo. I think that'd be huge. We'd have a big man inside. We'd have a good guy, real good scorer running the point. I think that could be good. I think regardless, honestly, I think the Heat are going to win this year. I really hope so, actually, because I hated LeBron for so long in Cleveland, but I kind of feel bad for him the way he gets villainized, in Miami for leaving. It's free agency. The guy left. So what? Get over it.
That's true, guy. That's true. LeBron is still the best all-around player in the NBA, and you know it.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone knows it. There's not a single player in the NBA who plays as good as he does, both on the offensive and defensive side.
Well, I'll tell you, Phil Jackson himself said if he was starting a team from day one right now, the first player he'd pick would be Superman Dwight Howard. So.
Oh, my God. Wow, guy. Let me stop you right here because you are listening live to the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour on Blog Talk Radio. You can call into the show at 714-694-4101. Also, jump into the chat room as we will take any questions you have in the chat as well as over the phone. So give us a call, chat us. Also, you can tweet us at doyourjob_routine J.O.B. and also be a fan on Facebook at the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour, so it's pretty hard to miss there. So, old school, man, we are really getting close to WrestleMania 28, and it seems like the card is starting to, finish up here, so to speak, as, they're having a lot of other matches announced and stuff like that. As we already know, the main event is going to be John Cena versus The Rock. And, that should be a pretty decent match, which I think they'll probably I'm hoping that they tear the house down. I really do. But I think I'm wondering, is this the match where Cena embraces the hate?
I really don't think so. I think you may see an edgier Cena, but I don't think he's ever going to turn heel. And I'm glad you bring it up, though. I wanted to comment on something. I think in all of about a minute when Cena came out, when The Rock was giving his promo last week on Raw, I think Cena completely schooled and owned The Rock in less than a minute. I think his promo, his delivery, and him giving it back to The Rock, and when he brought up the notes on The Rock's hand, which the camera clearly saw, I think that really threw The Rock off his game. And I think Cena, just in that one little, half a minute to a minute exchange with The Rock, really upped the ante, and I felt like he really took it to The Rock and, in my estimation, really won that little bit of a war of words. But, the rumor has it that they're trying to make this a 3-match series over the course of 3 WrestleManias, which I think would be cool, I mean, because honestly, if it's just this one-off match, there's no way The Rock can go over. It would be just an absolute stupid thing to do booking-wise. You have to have Cena go over because Cena, love him or hate him, he's the guy there every week. And it's going to do nothing but hurt him. It's going to do nothing but hurt Cena to lose to The Rock, and The Rock goes on his way. It's only going to pump Cena up to beat The Rock. So I think that's definitely it's definitely shaping up to be a great match, and they're really starting to build it very well. But I look to see, unless they do announce that it's going to be a 3-match series, I look to see Cena go over.
Well, thanks for the insight, guy. I mean, I'm glad you're scouring the internet blogs looking for what everyone else is saying there. But I have sources. And I strongly disagree with you, and let me tell you why. I think The Rock could potentially win this match. I don't know how clean the finish might be, or how they're going to kind of, conclude the match. But I think The Rock could definitely win, and I wouldn't be surprised if he did.
I honestly would, because from a booking standpoint, it makes no sense. The Rock is going to be at WrestleMania. You maybe see him 2-3 times throughout the year, and then that's going to be it. So what does he stand to gain from winning the match? Nothing. What does Cena stand to gain? Some air of credibility. So I really think Cena's going to go over, and honestly, I really think Cena should go over. And I think like I said, I think his mic work he's been standing right up with The Rock on the mic. So I think that's a big plus for him.
That's true. I do want to make mention that we have a return this week in the chat room. The third man in the booth, Y2 Jibber Jabber, makes his return, guy. He's been absent from the chat room in quite some time, so it's good to see him back in the Do Your Job chat room.
Yeah, I see him in there. He's making his triumphant return. He's one of those unlucky fools that's missed out the past few weeks because we've had solid shows. And, last week especially, I think would definitely be a show that he would want to have been there for. I'm sure he had prior engagements, but hopefully he listened to the archives so he's all caught up.
Absolutely. Also, I see in the chat room one of the managers from Dragon Gate USA, Larry Dallas, also in the chat room. So if you're listening to the show, make sure you jump into the chat room there as, we'll take all your questions and stuff you may have as, of course, in just a little bit, Buggy Nova will be joining us right here on the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour. So kind of getting back to WrestleMania 28, we have several title matches on this card, one of which CM Punk versus Chris Jericho, which I think we all saw coming based upon Jericho's return and looking to get him into a big main event at WrestleMania. What are your thoughts on that match?
I think that's going to be the match to steal the show, to be honest with you. And I thought on Raw last week they started that build super hot. I think the two of them put on a clinic on the mic. So I really think that that has the opportunity to steal the show. I think it will. I think, both Jericho and Punk are brilliant wrestlers. They're both great on the mic, and I think they're going to build the shit out of that match for the next month. And I think it's going to be, doesn't matter where they put it on the card, I think that's going to be the one that steals the show.
I don't agree with you often, but I will agree with you on this one. I think that that will steal the show, and I do think Punk will go over.
I think Punk goes over too, although I wouldn't be surprised to see Jericho go over because, it's always good for business to have a heel champ with the babyface that's super over chasing. So I could see Jericho by hook or crook winning. and then extending that feud, because that's a feud that there's a lot of money to be made in.
Very true, very true. Another title match also we have is for the world title, Daniel Bryan versus Sheamus. I think it's rather obvious, and I would be really surprised if Sheamus didn't capture the title at WrestleMania.
You know, again, I'm going to disagree with you just a little bit. The common wisdom, the conventional wisdom is Sheamus goes over, wins the belt. But Daniel Bryan has embraced his new role as the cheap to win, you know, by hook or crook, somehow retain the belt kind of champion, and he's playing it fabulously. I mean, he's very believable in the role. The guy's a great wrestler. The guy is serviceable on the mic, so he's selling the role very well. You know, he's the guy that nobody thinks really should be champ, but somehow or another he keeps finding a way to come away with the belt. And, you know, I expect that could continue at WrestleMania. You never know, but, you know, I think that one's one that could really go either way.
I think Daniel Bryan is making for a great heel. I think he's a lot of what he says is catching on, especially the yes, yes, yes. I think it's really catching on with fans. And, you know, a lot of fans, especially the smart internet marks out there, always enjoy to, you know, cheer the bad guy, and I think he's getting that audience where people are cheering him for that, and I like it.
Yeah, I do too. As well, I think the vegan thing is working in his favor too. You know, he said a couple weeks ago, "I don't even eat meat," and that seemed to garner a huge response. So they're running with that a little bit, and I think Daniel Bryan is. I mean, everybody knew going in. You know, a lot of the internet fans, as well as really anybody who's plugged into wrestling at all, really knew Daniel Bryan going in was. He's a great talent. The guy's a fantastic wrestler. You know, from his days in Ring of Honor and, you know, on the independents around the world, a lot of people knew who he was. But, you know, based on his size and his look, you never really knew if he was going to get a good shot to run with the ball. And, you know, I'm glad they're giving him a shot to run with the ball, even if, like I said, it's that guy that, you know, you don't think should be champ, but somehow he keeps coming away with it. He's embraced the role, and he's doing a great job with it.
Now, the Hell in the Cell match, of course, is one that seems to be getting a lot of build-up. Probably second to the Cena-Rock match is Triple H versus The Undertaker, and there are now rumors circulating around where Shawn Michaels could how some way be introduced into this match, whether it be maybe a referee or something like that. I know you're a big Michaels fan, but I kind of don't want to see him back in the ring after he's already retired. What are your thoughts?
Well, I don't have a problem if he's in the ring as long as he's not wrestling. I don't think he ever will wrestle. I think he's one of those guys that's true to his word and he's done wrestling. I don't have a problem if he's an enforcer or a referee or something to that effect. You know, going back to the match itself, I got to be honest with you. Up until they made it a Hell in the Cell match, this is a match that I honestly was just not very excited for. They put on a great match last year, but it's just one of those things that it's like, okay, been there, done that. Michaels and Taker put on two of the all-time classic matches. Triple H, I didn't expect as much from, and he pleasantly surprised me. It was a great match. But this year, with so much else going on in the card, I was kind of like, eh. Once they announced it as a Hell in a Cell, that kind of piqued my interest. So, you know, again, this card is shaping up to be one of the most stacked WrestleManias I can remember in recent history.
Now, this match, I'm not too sure how to assess it. I mean, it's Cody Rhodes versus The Big Show for the IC title. Not too sure how this match is going to go, although there is a rumor somehow Shaquille O'Neal, former Heat player, Shaq Fu, could be involved here. Not too sure. I think Cody should win that one.
Yeah, you know, I kind of feel bad for The Big Show because it seems at WrestleMania every year he gets stuck with the bullshit match, you know, Floyd Mayweather, Aki Bono. I mean, the guy's just, he can't seem to get, like, a legit match. The rumor originally was that he was going to be facing Shaquille O'Neal, so it would fit right in line with the crap that he's been given. You know, this storyline's kind of stupid. It doesn't make sense. The Big Show gains nothing from winning the IC title or beating Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes gains a lot by retaining or beating Big Show. So if this match does, in fact, come to fruition, I think one way or the other it's going to be Cody Rhodes going over.
You know what? You could be right, Guy. You could be right. I want to get into one last thing that's non-wrestling related here, and I do want to mention, Guy, that on 4/20, Guy, the ConKaiserdor will be going to see Bad Brains and Jizza in D.C., Guy. You can't ask for a better show than that, and that shit is sold out.
Yeah, you're a dirty son of a bitch because not only are you going to see Bad Brains, you're going to see Bad Brains in D.C., and there's something to be said for that. I know Bad Brains is playing a few different shows, but seeing Bad Brains, I mean, Jizza aside, Jizza on his own is an amazing show to go to, but to see Bad Brains in D.C., where they came up, where they were at the forefront of, punk rock music in the 80s, they were one of the mainstays of the D.C. scene. So to see them reunited in D.C. and then you throw the Jizza in on top of that, my only hope is that you get a very bad bout of diarrhea and are unable to attend.
You know what, guy? If I have diarrhea, it'll be I will have it with me. Actually, you know what? I won't have it with me. You're in luck because the show's actually after I make my visit down to South Florida for WrestleMania weekend, so I will not have the bag of duty for you then. However, you know what? I can mail it to you, guy. I'll put it in a little package for you because I'm telling you this. I will not have diarrhea on the mini tramp that night. I will be there, no diarrhea, watching Bad Brains, watching Jizza, and it's going to be an amazing show. And just knowing that it's sold out and I was able to get tickets for that show, I'm sorry, guy. You're missing out. That's why it pays to live in the corridor of D.C.
Well, I think that you should be a good friend and give me your tickets and buy me a plane ticket. I mean, I think that's only fair.
You know what, guy? Listen, I already bought you WrestleMania tickets. I already bought you Ring Warrior tickets. I'm paying to fly down there to hang out with you. Come on, guy. You know what? You're asking for too much.
Well, you see, you're full of shit, and our listeners, I hope, can just pick that up because I acquired actually my wife acquired the WrestleMania tickets that you will be enjoying WrestleMania weekend. You touched on something I want to get back to real quick in case we don't have time at the end of the show. The Ring Warriors card WrestleMania weekend, Thursday night, the Thursday prior to WrestleMania, has finally been finalized. They added Wes Briscoe, former FCW talent, obviously legendary Briscoe last name, will be taking on Francisco Ciazza. They kind of rounded out that card into what is going to be one of the best events you're going to see on an independent level, really anywhere. So I really encourage our listeners, anybody who's going to be in town that weekend, maybe you haven't heard of Ring Warriors, maybe you haven't, checked out any of their previous shows, make sure you make it to this show if you can. They have mixed, old stars, new stars, up-and-coming stars. They've got Ring of Honor talent, TNA talent, former WWE talent, ECW talent, some of the best indie workers on the scene. All NWA belts are going to be there, so make it a point to make it to that show.
It is going to be a great show, guy. It really is going to be a fantastic show, and I'm looking forward to being there. I'm looking forward to us also doing some live interviews as Do Your Job will be on the scene at both Ring Wars and WrestleMania. So if you see us there at any of these shows, make sure, if you want to come up, say hello. We'll also be interviewing fans as well, just kind of talking to people, and then we will be kind of compiling our entire weekend together, and then we will be posting it up on our Blog Talk site for the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour goes on the scene for WrestleMania weekend. So it's going to be awesome. I really look forward to putting that together as, guy, we're going to bring it really, really good at WrestleMania.
Yeah, that weekend's going to be huge. You got WrestleMania Sunday, the Hall of Fame Saturday night. Ring of Honor is running several shows. There's the Ring Warriors show we mentioned. Dragon's Gate USA is going to be running several shows down here. So you really never know where we're going to turn up. It's going to be an action-packed week and into the weekend of wrestling. You never know where we're turning up. Where we will turn up. We're going to try to get, quick interviews with, as much talent as we can, with fans, with, really everybody in attendance, because we just want to get a good feel for everything that's going on that weekend and really take it in and, try to give you a perspective of fans, talent, wrestlers, managers, whoever. We want to get a good show together so you guys, those who can't make it down here, can really kind of get the experience, because there's going to be people from all over the world converging in South Florida for just this massive, massive weekend of wrestling.
We are live tonight with Buggy Nova right here on the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour on Blog Talk Radio. All right, this is the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour live on Blog Talk Radio, and we are live tonight with one of the fastest rising female stars on the independent wrestling scene today, Buggy Nova. Buggy, thank you for being with us tonight.
Oh, sweet. Thank you guys for having me.
Oh, it's great to have you. We've been really looking forward to having you on as we have a lot of great questions to get to. And you've been extremely popular these days with the media, doing a lot of other interviews. And how's that feel?
It's really, I don't know. I think it's part of the job, part of being a wrestler and part of being in the entertainment industry is getting that kind of exposure. And it's just nice to have people want to listen to me talk and want to hear what I have to say and, just be curious about what's going on in my life. I've never really had that before, so it's different. It's cool.
Awesome. Now, I know you're a big Pee Wee Herman fan, as you saw the little promo flyer that I posted on your on your.
I loved it.
Awesome. We try to keep things as original as possible here on the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour and as fun as we can. Now, I want to ask you a question. Now, I'm sure you probably heard, especially living out in Southern California, that there is a potential of a Pee-wee's Playhouse movie. What are your thoughts on that?
I totally saw that, and I'm so excited. But I don't want to get my hopes up, because a lot of the time, people talk about those kind of things and it never happens. But even when it does happen, or when I see, the commercial or the trailer, oh my God, I'm going to be first in line. I'm going to shove everyone else out of the way, and I'm going to totally watch that movie dressed as Pee Wee Herman with my Pee Wee Herman doll and my Pee Wee Herman bed sheets and Pee Wee Herman flavored popcorn and all that stuff. So I'm psyched if it does happen, if and when it does happen.
That's pretty hardcore fan you are. Now, I don't know if you heard, though, but there's some talk that it may not even be Pee-wee playing Pee-wee. It could potentially be Johnny Depp. I don't know how I feel about that.
Oh, right. I remember reading about that. Johnny Depp, he just has to dip his fingers into everything. Not that I mind. Not that I'm complaining. But you're right. I don't know how I feel about that. I would definitely still see it and still be excited about it. But maybe, if he was Pee Wee Herman, maybe, the actual Pee Wee Herman would play, a little cameo part, and it would be sort of, funny and he's in the Pee Wee Herman movie and he's not playing Pee Wee. How funny and ironic is that? Maybe they'll do something like that. But
I'm sure they'll give good old Paul Rubens a cameo in that film. I mean, how could you not? I mean, it's his baby, You
have to.
Exactly. Now, a lot of wrestling fans know you from your time in NWA Hollywood, and I know fairly recent you have stopped working for NWA Hollywood. Can you talk a little bit about why you stopped working for them, and what are you really up to these days?
Well, it's weird because me and Candice LeRae had a feud going on, and it was really getting heated, and we pumped up the first blood match, and I was so excited about it, and I was kind of preparing for it and training for it. I'd never been in their first blood match before, so they told us we were going to do it, and we told the fans, this is going to happen, this is it, this is last straw, and then I just never heard back from them. Kind of weird like that. So I don't know what really happened. I didn't really ask any questions. I'm just all right, well, I guess that's not happening. So, but we did move our feud to IWL for a while in Chino. And then I think, honestly, she's just chickening out because last IWL show she wasn't there. Candice LeRae never showed up. So I'm calling you out, Candice LeRae. Can't hide from me forever.
Now, Buggy, it's pretty much been well documented that I think it was late January you had a couple tryout matches with WWE, I think in Anaheim and Las Vegas against AJ. Can you talk a little bit about how those tryouts came about and kind of your overall impression from how you think those went and kind of what you've heard from them?
Right. Oh, wow. Well, I just got a phone call. A friend of mine handed over my email and a couple pictures to someone at Talent Relations, and they hit me up and asked for some more info and for some more photos and asked if I was interested in being at the at Raw. And I was like, oh, my God, of course. So I got to try out. I was with, like, maybe 8 or 9 other guys. I was the only girl there. And I wrestled AJ because they didn't have any other girls for me. So I had to wrestle a girl, and she was so nice enough to get ready and do a little match with me. And I think it went well. I felt really good about it, got some good feedback. And, that's what I was like on cloud nine all day. I can't complain. So it was definitely a memorable experience.
Very cool. I mean, you watch WWE, I think you have a very unique look and very unique character that I think would bode very well on a big stage, because obviously most of the especially with WWE, the Divas division is very almost cookie cutter,
right.
in terms of what they look like and how they act and that sort of thing. So, I mean, do you think that a character or a persona such as yourself could really kind of shake things up a little bit there?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think I would definitely be something new. I would add something new to the roster just by my appearance alone. And I don't know, maybe make me stand out. Maybe that's something that caught their eye while I was there, hoping, maybe they want something different. But you never know. It would be a nice change, though, if I say so myself.
Right now, and kind of piggybacking off of that, you have a very large following, Facebook, Twitter, a lot of, the social networking sites and stuff like that. What do you think attracts fans to you?
I think, I don't know. I think I'm kind of weird and kind of, I interact with everybody, with almost everybody. I try to anyways, that, they ask me a question or they're like, oh, I heard you like Pee-wee, and I'm like, yeah, I talk to them like, that like they're people and like they're friends, and kind of make them feel like they live in Candyland with me, and it's kind of like this weird world that I'm in, and everyone's invited, I like to make everyone feel like they're a part of something, I think that's what everybody really wants, and so maybe that's what makes people want to listen to me or learn more about me or that type of thing. I'm just weird, and people are weird, so I think I hold the flag. I can hold the flag for all the weirdos out there.
Nothing wrong with being a little weird now. What's the difference between your Candyland and maybe Katy Perry's version of Candyland?
Ew. Wait a second. I think I threw up in my mouth a little bit.
It's all right. We can pause.
I'm sorry. Ever since Katy Perry and Russell Brand got married, I can't look at her the same way. And thank God that they're getting divorced. I sort of have a little crush on Russell Brand, but Katy Perry, oh my God, all right. I don't know what kind of Candyland she's from or what kind of Candyland she's snorting or smoking or whatever, but mine's way better. I don't care about Katy Perry. She's gross.
Yeah, I think she's
say about that.
Her music is shit, and she's pretty overrated anyway. So.
Yeah. Amen. Thank you. Right. I like you.
Good. Now, we have a question out of the chat room from Hellcat. He said, based upon your appearances, have you ever been compared to Daphne, who used to work for TNA and WCW?
I have. And it's a compliment, she's awesome, but I like to also kind of be myself and not so much depend on that or lean towards that, kind of crazy gothic style, but it's definitely a compliment. I love her. So. Yeah,
she definitely was. I always enjoyed her in WCW when she did the kind of like the governor gimmick in TNA. I thought that was a nice change for her, and she pulled it off pretty well.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, I know you kind of work most of your shows on the West Coast. I think you've done a couple Midwest shows, if I'm not mistaken. When are you going to make an appearance on the East Coast?
I would love to make an appearance on the East Coast. It's all about finding the right booker the right show to just to set it up, There's nothing stopping me right now. So my schedule's open. I would love to visit the East Coast. I have, fans over there that ask me the same thing, and I would absolutely love to. Book it, and I'm there.
Well, I know you're good friends with Christina Von Erie, who works a lot of shows, especially in Florida, and her and Jesse Neal are working, which seems to be one of the biggest shows in probably Florida independent history, with NWA Ring Warriors. Have you had any talks with her at all to maybe try to get you involved with some of the stuff in Florida?
I haven't yet, but that's a good idea. I would love to go to Florida, but it's all, it's all in my little book that I have of things to do. So this year, big things are going to happen, and maybe you'll see me out there. Maybe you'll see me on the East Coast, and I plan on doing all these. I plan to travel more this year, so you'll definitely see me out there sometime.
Awesome. It would be great to see, especially in Florida, as Florida's always been, there's a very strong legacy of wrestling in Florida, and it would be great to see you there. The most recent Wrestle Reunion convention in Los Angeles, you worked a special VIP-only match with Arena Chicks and then did a meet and greet. Can you talk a bit about that experience, and as a fan, what legends you look forward to meeting the most?
Wow. Well, it was such an honor when Amber O'Neil called me and asked me to be a part of Arena Chicks for Wrestle Reunion. And she told me I was going to wrestle Fantasia. And I'm going to be honest, I never heard of this person, and I was a little sketchy about it, like, all right, we'll see, because I saw pictures of her. She's pretty. She's a big girl. So I was like, all right, bring it on. So wrestling her was absolutely fantastic. We had a great match, I think, and a lot of good feedback from everyone else after the match. So that was such a treat, and thank you, Amber. Big shout out to her with Arena Chicks for having me and for putting on that show. And as far as looking forward, you know what? I look forward to Wrestle Reunion like, a nerd looks forward to going to Comic-Con. Like, it's just such a eye candy, and it's this, and look who's here, and meet this person, and I just look forward to the whole convention as, like a reunion, like, everybody in one place, and then some. So I can't say I look forward to meeting one specific person, but just the entire, it's like going to Disneyland, What do you want to do first? Let's just go and find out.
We had gone to one of the first Wrestle Reunions in Tampa. This probably was, I want to say, like 2005 maybe. And, it's exactly that. It's like walking into almost like a wrestling-themed Disneyland. And
isn't it?
Yeah, there's so many legends there. Just to kind of sit down, this is way before we did the radio show, and just kind of speaking to some of these guys and women, we got to meet, like the late Sherry Martel, which was really cool, and just kind of talking to some of these people, they have some very interesting stories to share.
Oh, absolutely.
We have another question out of the chat room. Again, this is from Hellcat. He wants to know, what is the wackiest, most gimmicky match you've participated in, and have you ever been in a Brahma Bull rope match?
I'm going to have to say Freak Show Wrestling in Burbank, California. We had Scrotum Moon. This is actually my most recent match. And if you want to say most gimmicky, what more gimmicky than a referee named Scrotum Moon with giant pivots and giant feet, literally a Scrotum Moon attached to his head. So
wow.
that was a first. And then what was the second part of the question?
He wants to know if you've been in any Brahma Bull rope matches, which I never heard of that.
Yeah, I can't say I've heard of that either. So I'm going to say hopefully not. Maybe. I hope not.
But growing up, were you a fan of wrestling and, in particular things like Glow, the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling promotion, or, did you get into wrestling, as a kid, or was it kind of later in your life?
I was definitely, it was late I would say in the 90s, mid to late 90s, when me and my brother would watch WWF. And absolutely, we totally got into it. I still have my action figures, and I'm proud to say it, so don't judge me. And they talked. So that's when I first got into it. Is like late 90s, Stone Cold. Fell in love with Triple H. We met Eyes. I met his television eyeballs, and it was love at first sight. And Lita and Trish and Molly Holly and all those guys. That's when I got into it.
Very cool. You touched on Arena Chicks before. You've worked with them as well as Shimmer, which are probably two of the most popular female branded wrestling promotions. Can you talk a little bit about working for those promotions and kind of how they differ from working like more traditional indie wrestling shows?
Well, it's definitely different being around all girls, because me and I'm sure other female wrestlers are used to being in the locker room with a bunch of guys, and it's a total sausage fest, and we have to go change in the bathroom and kind of find our own space, and it's just male dominated. And being at Shimmer or Arena Chicks, it's all girls. And I said this before about being there at Shimmer. It's like being at an all girls camp, like summer camp. I felt like I was in summer camp again. And it was just cool, maybe a little bit too much estrogen for my taste, but it was definitely different, and, everyone was really nice. So as far as it being different from a typical indie show, I mean, it's a world different, especially, it's at Shimmer, you have the most talented female wrestlers around the world in one locker room, and just being back there and seeing everyone and everyone's, shaking my hand, being totally cool. I'm like, oh my God, it was very cool. It was a good learning experience.
Yeah, absolutely. We had Angel Orsini on the show last year, and she spoke a lot about Arena Chicks, and she's definitely still working heavily on the independent scene, especially with a lot of those female promotions. And it's always cool to to kind of hear what goes on with specific female promotions rather than just your typical independent promotion.
Yeah, girl power.
We're actually going to move on to one of our segments we like to call the name game. The rules are pretty simple. We're going to throw out a word or a phrase to you. You can reply with whatever the first thing is that comes to mind or whatever you really want to say, okay?
All right, this could be trouble. I'm just warning you.
That's okay. We are, just in case we didn't make mention before, we are uncensored. The FCC does not censor online radio, and you are free at will to say what you'd like.
Okay, perfect.
All right. The first word we're going to throw at you is WWE Diva.
I think of Kelly.
TNA Knockout.
Winter.
Most awkward ring moment.
Ooh, nip slip.
Really?
Don't sound too excited.
Well, no, Guy. I mean, because most of the time when that happens, you have some, wrestling blog post a picture here and there, and it's usually nothing but some blurred shots. So,
Right.
I don't know. Anyways, moving on. Midnight snack.
Peanut butter.
Just straight peanut butter?
Peanut butter and apples.
You prefer smooth or chunky?
Chunky, extra chunky.
All right, that's good. All right, cool. All right, next one we're going to get into here this is one of my favorites, Frances Buxton.
Frances Buxton?
Oh, come on, Buggy, don't fail us now. You're on a roll.
Frances. Is that the Pee Wee Herman Frances?
Yes.
Oh, I never knew his last name. Oh, I'm ashamed.
Buggy,
my God,
Buggy.
I hope Pee Wee's not listening.
I hope not. I hope he doesn't tune into the archive or something, because he might be a little disappointed.
He's never going to hug me now, because he's going to be like, I was listening to you, and you're not a real fan.
There goes your cameo.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Is that your thoughts on Frances Buxton?
Okay, my thought, Yeah, he reminds me of like the Warhead. No, what's it? That candy where like the face is all puckered up and it's all like, you know what I mean?
I think that was
honestly,
Warhead.
that's the first thing that comes
Yeah, I
to
think
my
it is a Warhead.
mind.
Yeah, I think it was. That's funny. Let me ask you this: if someone were to play Buggy Nova in a movie, who would play you?
Ooh, Fruza Ba.
Never heard of her. Who's that?
She played Nancy in The Craft, and she was also in The Waterboy. Yeah.
She's in American History X.
Yeah, that girl.
Yeah.
Love her.
Very cool. The next word is going to be, or phrase, female wrestling legend.
Female wrestling. Trish Stratus. She's a legend. She should be.
I agree. All right, next one, role model.
Pee-wee Herman. I want to be like him when
You have a Broadway show now too, which I think is pretty cool.
I saw that.
I'd love to go see that. All right, next one we're gonna do Vegas.
Strippers.
Good, very good answer. Indie wrestling.
Indie wrestling. I think of the Human Tornado.
He's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he helped me. He's a big part of my early training years, so.
How about underrated?
Underrated. Wow. Underrated. I'm going to say, oh, man, that's a good question.
We can come back to that one if you want.
All right, let's skip it. Let's pass. Let's pass for now.
All right, we're going to go on the other side of the coin then and go overrated.
Overrated. I might get in trouble for that one. let's pass on that one. Because I have it in my head, but very hush-hush.
Well, we'll pass. We'll let you off the hook this time.
All right, thank you.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and flip this one to you. And worst song ever?
Anything by Kesha or Drake or Nicki Minaj.
Yeah, that's all garbage. Terrible.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and totally agree with you there.
All of those songs.
Well, let's move into something a little more positive, and let's give you Big Top Pee-wee.
Yay! Big Top. Oh, elephant. Oh, can yay be my word?
Yay can be your word, yes.
Yes. That was actually, I think, underrated. I think Big Top Pee-wee was actually a pretty good movie.
Hell yeah. Absolutely.
Now, moving into something a little more scary horror. Who wins, Jason, Freddy, or Pinhead?
Ooh, Freddy, because he would be the one that I would more likely make out with.
Now, hold on. Now, is this Robert Englund Freddy or that new shitty Freddy?
No, Robert Englund, totally.
All right,
not the new one.
Yeah, because the new one, I kind of dismiss that as even a movie.
I just want to throw this out there for anybody listening. Mark that down. If you're a burn victim, you have a shot with Buggy Nova.
Totally. You have to have ribs and tears in your sweater, in your striped sweater.
Nice. The last one we're going to give you before we get into one last question from our chat room is, what is Buggy Nova's future?
It's totally, you guys can expect a lot more wrestling. I'm training in Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu right now, and just fighting, fighting for what I believe in, fighting for what I want in life, and fighting for other people to do the same. So I'm not going anywhere anytime soon.
Good, because you have a bright future ahead of you, that's for sure, especially if WWE is looking at you. I mean, there's so many female independent wrestlers out there. That has to be pretty awesome.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's good feeling.
The last question we have from Y2 Jibber Jabber out of the chat room, he wants to know if you can share a funny story, whether it be from the road or behind the scenes with us tonight.
Oh, my gosh. Yes.
Good.
One just popped in my head. I'm surprised that, this is one of the first road trips that I went on, and there was probably 8 people packed in a van and driving in traffic, literally going maybe 5 miles an hour, maybe, stop and go traffic. And we were on our way to Arizona So it was kind of like hot, and everyone's kind of miserable and, stuck in traffic and what the hell. And so keep in mind I'm the only girl, again, in the van. So I'm sitting next to Hector Canales, who is a wrestler. If you don't know him, you should, so shame on you.
Hey, you didn't know. You couldn't remember Francis Buxton, so cut us some slack.
If you just said, hold on a sec. If you just said Francis, I would totally know what you're talking about. But the last name kind of threw me off, so to my credit. Okay, back to story time. It's story time right now. All right. So Hector decides it's a good idea to open the door, first of all, which I'm pretty sure that's illegal, but there are these girls next to us in the car next to us, these two girls, could be lesbians for all I know. Hector thinks it's a good idea to take all his clothes off completely. I think he was in his boxers. I was busy shielding my eyes, but he takes off all his clothes, he opens the door, and he's like, hey, baby, and he's, shouting at these two girls, and they're, giggling, and everyone is just cracking up in the van, and it definitely made the ride a lot more interesting from then on. So there you go.
That's a good story, Buggy.
It is. Maybe it's one of those you have to be there stories, but... No,
it's good. I mean, of course, being there, always has a different dynamic, but it's always good to hear those stories. And we have a lot of listeners who are very interested in hearing those stories, so it's good to hear them tonight.
Absolutely. Everyone should be picturing Hector Canales naked right now because it really makes a story.
Well, we will encourage the listener in the chat, Y2 Jibber Jabber, to check that out, and so he can get the full visual there.
Sure, do it. Facebook him right now.
Facebook him, Y2 Jibber Jabber, as per Buggy Nova. So awesome, Buggy. It's been great to have you on the show. It's been a very fun interview, and I know you've been like I said, pretty busy doing a lot of other shows. So thanks so much for taking the time to be with us here. As hopefully you've had as much fun as we've had interviewing here tonight.
I did.
Awesome.
Big interview.
Great. Thanks so much. The last thing I want to kind of ask here is if you wouldn't mind doing a drop for the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour that we can play on future shows.
Sure.
Awesome. Well, whenever you're ready, the floor is yours.
This is Buggy Nova, and you should all be listening to Do Your Job Radio right now on Blog Talk Radio.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Buggy. We appreciate your time, like I said before. Thanks for the drop there. We look forward to playing that in the future. And we want to make sure that anyone listening tonight is following you on Twitter at Buggy Nova, and your multi-personality on Facebook. You've got 3 or 4 different Facebook pages as well?
Yes, it's for all my different personalities. So I can't pack them all into one profile because they don't get along. So I had to make, different ones. But they're all me. I'm Buggy Nova. I have 2 Facebook profiles, and I also have a Team Buggy group page and a Buggy Nova like page. So check it out.
Absolutely. Make sure you check it out. We'll also post that for our fans as well on our Do Your Job Wrestling Hour Facebook page. Buggy, again, thanks so much for being with us. Hopefully we can have you on again in the future if you don't get too big. Good luck, and we'll definitely hope to do this again soon.
Oh, thank you guys so much.
You take care.
Thank you. Continue success.
All right, that was Buggy Nova live on the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour. Old School Avis Hathaway, Bud, great interview tonight with Buggy Nova.
Yeah, we always say great interview. Obviously we're a little biased, but I thought it went really well. I know she's done a lot of interviews lately, but I think any interview would have a hard time living up to that. She's a very cool, down to earth person and a lot of fun to talk to. So hopefully we'll have her back on for everybody again. If your question didn't get answered, we'll get some more going.
Absolutely, and if you are listening to the archive version of the show, just know this was a great interview tonight, and thanks so much for listening, whether it be live or to the archive on your own time. I do want to quickly plug some upcoming shows we got, Guy, as next week, March 11th, we'll be joined, coming back to the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour, Guy, Blix from Micro Championship Wrestling coming back on the show. Then a special bonus show, Guy, March 12th with demo. That's a Monday night. We are running 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. that night, so make sure you tune in. It's right before Raw, so you have no excuse. Also, March 18th is the Farewell to the Ring address for one maximum capacity. Then March 25th, we are joined by the largest midget in wrestling and also a part of Micro Championship Wrestling, Meatball. Can't wait to have him on the show, guy. He's a big fan of real heavy metal, so we'll get into all kinds of great stories with Ronnie James Dio and who knows what else. So I look forward to having him on the show. Then April 1st is Do Your Job Wrestling Hour goes on the scene for WrestleMania weekend, as we will both be attending Ring Warriors and WrestleMania. And then we move into April with the return of the Tokyo Monster Kahagas. And then April 15th, Chance Prophet, the current NWA champion as well. So I'm curious to kind of see what may happen there. Could Kahagas be coming on the show as the champion? Who knows, because they're wrestling at NWA Ring Warriors in late March. And then we kind of round out April the 29th with Lince Dorado. He's one of the top cruiserweight-style wrestlers on the independent scene, so we're very excited to have him on the show. We're going to take a quick caller. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Todd Bridges, Mr. ConKaiserdor. I'm calling from wherever you want me to be. I'm everywhere you want me to be. I'm just like Visa or American Express. Mr. ConKaiserdor, thank you very much for taking my call.
Oh, of course. It's great to have you on the show. Now, are you actually in the wrestling business?
Absolutely. I am not only a number one, top-of-the-line, prime beef superstar, I am a personality and a talent. I've been a wrestler for many a years. My name is Todd Bridges. I'm the Todd Bridges.
Wow. Now, is this any relation to Todd Bridges from the Different Strokes fame of What You Talking About, Willis?
How dare you? How dare you, Mr. ConKaiserdor? I
Whoa.
call us no show. How dare you? Bite your tongue, Mr. ConKaiserdor. That Todd Bridges has been ripping me off for years. Old school Avis Hathaway, I hope that you talk to your partner in crime here and tell him about if he's going to do the crime, he better do the time, calling me that other punk jabroni Todd Bridges. How dare you?
Wow. So who have you old school, man, have you ever heard of Todd Bridges?
Well, I've heard of the other Todd Bridges that apparently has been ripping this Todd Bridges off, the one that spent some time with Gary Coleman. I'm not familiar with this Todd Bridges, but it sounds like I should be.
Absolutely. You see, old school Avis Hathaway, you was correct when you said the other Todd Bridges, because he's the other. He's my brother from another mother. But when I say brother, he's like that other brother, like in that Macaulay Culkin movie where the one brother was like the devil spawn, and that Todd Bridges is sullying my name in the public eye. So I would say, other Todd Bridges, thank you for nothing.
Now, let me ask this question, Todd, as we just had a great interview with Buggy Nova. Again, thanks so much for her for being on the show tonight. And the week prior, we had Russian Radio Roulette with Red Devil Fight Team. Did you by chance listen to that show, and what are your thoughts on those types of radio shows?
Absolutely. Well, see, the Russian Radio Roulette show, while a novel idea, is one that I have participated in many a time. But see, you guys put an interesting twist in it where, you was having them drink some alcoholic beverages. You had two strong men in there. I was definitely interested in that. But I have participated in other Morning Zoo, really cheap knockoff events, very similar to that, where they would have me eating pizza slices, man. They would bring me in.
What?
I was talking to little children. Yeah, I mean, it was absolutely ludicrous. Not only am I lactose intolerant, but I ate so many pizzas I went into a diabetic shock. I was out of the ring business for at least a month, and I had all these, I don't even remember what their names were. It was like Poopy and Crappy, the Poopy and Crappy show or something like that. It was nonsense, man. Todd Bridges don't need that, and neither do you.
Are you serious? You really participated in that?
Absolutely. And I tell you what, Poopy and Crappy didn't even have the common decency to come up to me and say, hey, Todd Bridges, you want any toppings on this pizza? You want anything on here that's going to help and slide down? It was absolutely nonsense, man. And so, I literally couldn't even pass a movement after that. I tell you, it came out like a rock. I was in the hospital. It's terrible. To Mr. ConKaiserdor, you have brought up some sad, terrible memories for Todd Bridges. This is terrible. Why they even call in for this nonsense?
Well, thanks for the call, Todd. We appreciate it here, and hopefully maybe we could do it again sometime. Have a little more time to talk with you, as you seem like quite the chatterbox.
Absolutely, Mr. ConKaiserdor. You have your people call my people, and by my people, I mean me. I'm a one-man gun show, my man. So you give me a call, Todd Bridges will talk to you. He's going to take you Brown Town, if you know what I mean.
I can understand where you're coming from there. All right, that was Todd Bridges on the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour. Just called into the show. Apparently he's an independent wrestling worker. Never heard of him before, but I have heard of Todd Bridges from Different Strokes, but that does not sound like the Todd Bridges that I know. But, hey, he sounds like a character guy.
He does. The other Todd Bridges I know has had his battles with drugs, so you never know. Maybe it is one and the same, and the drugs have messed his mind up. He split into two personalities. Who knows?
Who knows there, guy? Well, make sure you join us next week as we will be live with Blix from Micro Championship Wrestling, and then following that show the next day, Monday, special start time 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Time, MCW's Luchador Demo will be joining us on the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour. Big thanks to Buggy Nova again for coming on the show. Thank you all for listening to us here. Everyone in the chat room, we appreciate it here. I'm the ConKaiserdor. Old School with Hathaway right beside me. Have a great night, everyone. We'll see you next week with Blix. Good night, everybody.